Welcome back, everyone. Well, depression and anxiety are at record levels in this country. And after struggling with depression most of his life, best-selling author and journalist Johann Hari decided to investigate the biological, psychological, and social reasons for why he felt like he did. Lost Connections, Uncovering the Real Causes of Depression and the Unexpected Solutions is the result of that research, and he joins us now. Thanks for being here with us.
Great
it's
to
so
be with
great
you,
to have
Kim.
you.
Thanks so much.
Okay, so you suffered from depression basically from as long ago as you can remember. But
when I was a teenager.
Yeah, and that's when you were first medicated for depression, correct?
Yeah.
What made you decide after your own experiences to start looking more into what might be causing it?
I guess there were these two mysteries that were really hanging over me, Kim. And if I'm honest, I was pretty frightened to look into them. The first mystery is, I'm 40 years old. Every year that I've been alive, depression and anxiety have increased here in the United States and across the Western world. And I wanted to understand why. Why are so many of us finding it harder each year that goes on to get through the day? And I wanted to understand it for a more kind of personal reason. Like you say, when I was a teenager, I remember going to my doctor and saying that I had this feeling like pain was leaking out of me. I couldn't control it, I didn't understand what was going on. And my doctor told me a story that I now realise had some truth in it, but was really oversimplified. He said, we know why people feel like this. Some people just naturally have a problem in their brain, a chemical imbalance. You're clearly one of them. All you need to do is take this drug. He gave me Paxil. You're going to be fine. And I did feel a really significant boost from that drug. But ultimately, I became depressed again. It turns out that's true of actually most people, not everyone who's given these drugs. And I was thinking, well, I'm doing everything I'm told to do and I still feel awful. What's really going on here and why is it happening to so many other people? So I ended up going on this big journey all over the world, over 40,000 miles. I wanted to sit with the leading experts in the world about what causes depression and anxiety and just people with really different ways of thinking about this. And I learned loads of things, but the core of what I learned is there's scientific evidence for 9 causes of depression and anxiety. 2 of them are in fact in our biology, we can talk about them, but most of them are factors in the way we live that are going up. And once you understand those different causes, it opens up a whole different set of solutions that I saw being tried all over the world that should be offered to people alongside the option of chemical antidepressants.
Right, you're not, and because SSRIs didn't ultimately work for you, you had to keep bumping your dosage, if I remember from your book. But obviously, many patients and neuroscientists believe while we might not know why they work exactly because we're still learning about the brain, they do work for many people. So you're saying that a lot of what you found in this can be in conjunction with taking SSRIs if those appear to be working for you as well?
They gave me some relief, but they didn't ultimately solve the problem. And the evidence shows that's true of most people who take them. But there's one person who really helped me to think differently about the whole question of antidepressants. I went to interview this South African psychiatrist called Derek Summerfield, who happened to be in Cambodia in Asia in 2001 when they first introduced chemical antidepressants there. And the local doctors, the Cambodians, had never heard of these drugs. So they were like, what are they? And he explained. And they said to him, oh, we don't need them. We already have antidepressants. And he was like, what do you mean? He thought they were going to talk about some kind of herbal remedy like St. John's wort or something.
Right.
Instead, they told him a story. There was a farmer in their community who worked in the rice fields. And one day he stood on a landmine and got his leg blown off. So they gave him an artificial limb and he went back to work in the rice fields. But apparently it's super painful to work underwater when you've got an artificial limb. I'm guessing it's traumatic for obvious reasons. The guy starts to cry all day. Eventually, he just won't get out of bed. He doesn't want to go on living. They said to Dr. Summerfield, the Cambodians, well, that's when we gave him an antidepressant. And he said, what was it? They explained that they went and sat with him. They listened to him. They realised that his depression had causes in their lives, in his life, and they thought, well, maybe we could solve that. One of them had the idea, if we bought him a cow, he could become a dairy farmer. He wouldn't be in this position that we're screwing him up. So they bought him a cow. Within a couple of weeks, his crying stopped. Within a month, his depression was gone. They said to Dr. Summerfield, so you see, doctor, that cow, that was an antidepressant. That's what you mean, right? Now, if you've been raised to think about depression the way we have, that it's just a problem in your brain, that sounds like a joke. I went to my doctor for an antidepressant, she gave me a cow. But what those Cambodian doctors knew intuitively is what the leading medical body in the world, the World Health Organization, has been trying to tell us for years. If you're depressed, if you're anxious, you're not weak, you're not crazy, you're not a machine with broken parts. You're a human being with unmet needs. And what you need is love and practical support from the society around you to get those deeper needs met. So a big part of what I'm asking in my book, Lost Connections, is, okay, what's the cow for the things that are screwing us up, right?
Right. And we have very limited time, but that is, you talk about all of these different things that could be factoring into our lives, from your work environment not being fulfilling or letting you grow, to that sense of disconnection from other people, disconnection from community. If someone was going to take one thing away from your book, looking at their own lives, to focus on, what would be the one thing you would tell people? Look here first, see if that's something that you can address, and then look at these other options as well.
I would say to them, your pain makes sense. You feel these ways for reasons. Now, when you're in the throes of depression, it feels like there's no reason. I remember that very well. But we feel these ways for underlying reasons. And obviously I go through in the book what these underlying reasons are, the scientific evidence for them. But what we've been doing up to now is we've been saying all this pain, all this distress is like a glitch in a computer program. If you're told it's just a problem in your brain, it's like, oh, it's just an error, the pain doesn't mean anything. And the key thing I learned is the leading experts in the world are telling us, your pain is meaningful. It's telling us something. We need to stop insulting that pain by saying it's either just weakness or craziness or just a problem in your brain, although there are real biological elements, and start listening to that pain, honouring it and following it to its source so that we can actually deal with the underlying problems. And I met doctors and scientists all over the world who are pioneering programs that, for example, assigning very lonely people to gardening programs where they garden with other people is twice as effective as giving them chemical antidepressants in reducing their depression and anxiety. There are real solutions out there. They are waiting for us. We need to listen to the pain and listen to the solutions.
And it's great that we're talking about mental health in general, so thank you so much for being here.
I really enjoyed that, Kim. Thank you so much.
Yes. All right, when we come back, how to host a swap party for clothing, toys, and household items.